Funding for PBS comes from the Reesley L. Thompson Foundation and from viewers like you. Thank you! Welcome to Great Thinkers of Society. Today we're going to start off with Auguste Comte. Now, Auguste is often called the father of sociology because he decided that it deserved to be its own scientific study. Now, he came to this conclusion while thinking about the scientific method. He thought that maybe because it, found something like gravity, it could be used to figure out why we do certain things. He also decided that the best sociologists would be one who practiced from their armchair. So the next time your mom yells at you for being lazy and just sleeping around on the couch, tell her to shut up. You're being a sociologist. Now next up is Karl Marx, who was a historian, who believed that the history of everything really should just be called the history of class conflict. And more importantly, it should be called the history of the bourgeoisie versus the proletariat, or the rich jerks versus the nice working people. Kind of reminds me of my friends who are rich and I'm the one doing student teaching still. Now let's imagine you were hanging out with your friends one day and you have a really good idea. An idea so great that you think it's going to change the world. So you tell your friends, and they seem to like it a lot, but you have one friend that always kind of likes to give their opinion. And they say something that sounds like it changes your idea a little bit. And suddenly, everyone thinks that your idea means something that you never meant it to mean. This is the problem that Karl Marx faced. People took Marxism so far into communism that it led him to truly say, "I'm not a Marxist." Man, it must be tough to have something named after you that you hate. Next up is Emile Durkheim, who looked at social integration in terms of suicide rates or sadness. And he said that when you're in a group, you have tight connections, and that makes you less likely to be suicidal. For instance, look at a relationship. When you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, you feel that connection. And then if you break up, you kind of feel a little sadder. This is why he said that Catholics generally commit suicide less than Protestants, because Catholics had tighter rules and better connections. Kind of sounds like you should say yes when someone asks you to the prom now, huh? Now next up is Max Weber, and he looked at what Marx was saying and said, yeah, right, but you kind of missed the boat. You see, class warfare isn't the problem, it's religion. Religion is the thing that started everything. You see, back in the day, Calvinists or other Christians didn't know if you were going to go to hell or heaven. So if you didn't know, you were starting to look for signs from God that maybe you were going to go. They thought that if you had a prosperous, healthy, and wealthy life, that God must like you because he gave you a good life. This means that many people were starting to save money to try to look rich, to try to look like they had been saved. Boy, I sure hope that's not the case, or I'm never getting into heaven. Now, saving the best for last, we have Herbert Spencer. Now, old Herb kind of got the short end of the stick when it comes to history because while he was saying all these groundbreaking things, a guy named Charles Darwin was doing something similar. As the ultimate insult, his idea gets called social Darwinism when Darwin's should have been called, I went to an island and found some birds and I'm going to call it after Herbert. Anyway, he looks at the guy in the armchair and says, that guy's got a pea brain. He's not very smart and he shouldn't have children. So looking back to my little instance, maybe the fact that my friends have more money is because they're better than me. They're harder working and they should have more children than I should. I know that's laughable, right? Because I'm freaking awesome. But it's a good idea. Maybe the better ones should have more kids and increase our rate of better people. Or maybe old Herbert should just wear the old judgmental jacket and stop being so mean. Alright guys, that was my video on the 5 sociologists. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. Thanks.